Joining us now is a man who needs no introduction. I am thrilled right now because with us is UFC President Dana White. He is in the house. He's been president for 15 years now, which is absolutely remarkable. And Dana's here on behalf of EA Sports UFC 2 in the fight for the cover campaign to determine the next cover athlete. So in case our viewers didn't hear, he's bringing gifts, giving away a PS4 to one of you. Head over to Twitter now. Give us your best reaction to our special UFC 2 cover using the hashtag DanaWhiteOnFT. It is so good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Thank you for being here with us.
Long time, buddy. Long time. Talk to me about how you're feeling about the UFC now and where you guys are. I remember you and I have spoken on several occasions in the past, and, you know, I always think about you and boxing and how you usurp boxing, and in a lot of people's eyes, you guys are coming on strong. Your thoughts about where you guys are right now?
Yeah, you know, it's been a great run, and considering this, to say where the UFC is right now, think about this. We're just in Melbourne, Australia, with 2 women headlining, and the co-main event were 2 women, right? 57,240 people, $9 million gate, and broke most of the records that we've ever had. So then we followed that up and went to Seoul, South Korea the first time. Amazing event. The fans were awesome there, and we just continue to go into places that we've never been and expose more people to the sport.
But what does that say about the sport? And I'm certainly not being negative here, but when you look at a Ronda Rousey, for example, when you think fighting, you think about it being a pugilistic sport. Obviously, Ronda Rousey's on, you know, the cover UFC and all of this other stuff, and she's the most marketable name. What does it say about the men that are not as marketable as her?
Well, I think, you know, even when you looked at women's boxing, and obviously Ronda broke all these records with the Holly Holm fight, you know, period. Yeah. Records that, you know, that we had at any of the big fights. And in boxing, there was never a women's fight that did anywhere remotely close to that. But we also have Chris Weidman coming up against Luke Rockhold this weekend. Yeah. We got Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo. John Jones is coming back.
Yes.
You know, we got Cormier. You know, and the list goes on and on. We have a ton of stars, and we have a lot of up-and-coming stars right now. The sport's never been stronger and just continues to grow.
You okay?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll get back to him in a second.
So, how big a blow was it to your sport that Ronda lost?
It's crazy because, you know, you win and lose in the fight game. It happens, you know. Even you know, it's funny because we were comparing her to Tyson, who had this, you know, invincibility, and you know, you know, she was a Tyson, and it was never more true than when she lost. Because when she lost, everybody was shocked. 100 million people were talking about it on social media, and I actually think that Ronda Rousey is bigger now after the loss than she was before the fight. And there's going to be a rematch, and you know.
Can't wait for that.
I think Holly Holm's better than Buster Douglas was.
Well, yeah, but I must ask you this. First of all, a couple of things I want to get to. Number one, how soon do you anticipate the rematches? Because you know better than me, it's one thing to lose.
Right.
And I mean no disrespect, but it's another thing to get beat down. Holly Holmes put a whipping on Ronda Rousey. God bless. I hope she's okay. I hope she comes back strong. But that was a beat down.
Yep, she's okay. Actually, she was in Vegas a couple days ago and went through a full, you know, they from head to toe, they medically tested. She's fine. She's fine. Now she's just got to take some time off, relax, and when
But is Dana White going to give it to her? And what I mean by that is this. I know how you are, and this is what I love about him, Skip, because he and I go back a long ways. You give people the fights they want to see when they want to see it. Well, now, you know people are going to be clamoring for Ronda Rousey to get back in that ring, but she might need a little time.
What's crazy is, you know, a lot of people have been saying, well, you should make this fight, you should make that fight. Lorenzo and I should lose our promoter's license and never be allowed to promote another fight again if we don't make this rematch. Right. But, you know, you have to give, like you said, you have to give Ronda the time. When Ronda's ready to come back, there's literally no pressure on her whatsoever to think about anything as far as fighting goes. So, and she's on a medical 45-day suspension after the fight. She can't have any contact or do anything for 45 days. So,
go ahead. I'll come back to it.
All right. I'm a boxing fan, long time,
Me
hardcore.
Too.
I know you are. You grew up in boxing, basically.
Yep.
And I make no bones about this, as in Bones Jones. But
he's the man.
How vulnerable is the sport of boxing post-Mayweather-Pacquiao in your eyes?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The crazy thing about boxing is this, is that when Tyson left, it was going to die. When De La Hoya left, it was going to die. You know, and it keeps going on and on. The problem with boxing right now is there's no young, up-and-coming talent. Back in the day, when we were growing up, man, boxing was it. In the 80s, the biggest fights, all the best in the world came out of the United States. And then boxing sort of became a European sport. You know, you don't have the greatest guys in the world here anymore. And the problem is, if you're a young kid in the United States, are you going to learn one thing? You're going to learn everything and become a mixed martial artist.
So, and that's where I was going, because when you say there's no young guys, I'm thinking a guy like Canelo Alvarez.
Right.
I'm thinking
Mexico.
Triple G. You know what I'm saying?
Mexico.
Exactly. That's why I said you said American.
And,
so
and Triple G is
Triple G.
Russia.
Well, you know,
Right.
Andre Ward. Keep your eyes on that. Kovalev. He's obviously not from the United States, but he's big time as well. But I get where you're going from. Let me go to the men now, because see, I'm a John Bones Jones fan.
Right.
I mean, I miss the brother. I know he's had some legal issues and other issues, and I hope that he's fine. I want you to give me an update on his status and how soon can we expect to see him. I like Daniel Cormier a lot, but he lost to John Bones Jones because John Bones Jones is that legit. I want to give us an update on where he's at and when he's coming back.
Yeah, so he's actually doing really well. And I don't know if you follow him on Instagram, but he's been like in the gym. You won't believe him when you see him. He is completely transformed. This guy is jacked. He's been lifting. He is like powerlifting. He's huge right now.
So what does that mean? He's going to be a heavyweight instead of light heavyweight? Is that where we're going?
No, I mean, he'll still be a light heavyweight.
Okay.
Yeah, he's planning on making that move to heavyweight. He definitely is. Yeah, Jones looks awesome. He's one of those freakish kind of athletes. He might be the best that's ever done it. He might be the best that's ever been in the game. You know, and he's one of those freakish athletes that could do it. I mean, look at his brothers. I mean, Chandler's having an incredible season with the Patriots right now.
Team.
He's a freak of nature. This guy could do anything, and it's good to see his head clear. And trust me, I'd rather see him in the gym than you know.
How worried were you that was going to potentially damage the sport? I was worried about him personally because I really think John Bones Jones is a really good guy. He's been at ESPN on several occasions. I love the guy. But I was worried about what kind of impact you felt his troubles were going to have on your sport, because to some people, you're still on the come up.
Right. Yeah, it's never good when bad things happen with people that are, but at the end of the day, I don't care what sport you're talking about or any other walk of life. Everybody's human, and people are going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. We deal with them. We roll with the punches. I think it matters more how we deal with these situations when they happen than the things actually happening.
Got you.
Tell me why I should be more interested in your sport than in boxing.
Well, I think if you're a fan of combat sport, you should like both. I mean, I watch both. You know, if the right fight is on in boxing,
sure,
I'm watching. I'm gonna watch on Saturday night. And the same thing with the UFC. We have. It's funny because you can like boxing and you can like UFC, but there's going to be fights that we'll do that you'll be like, I'm not interested in this one. And then there's some that you can't miss. You know, so it's always going to be that way. And this sport, just like any sport, is star-driven, talent-driven. When you know you have, like, for instance, this Conor McGregor fight that's coming up, right?
Yes.
Conor McGregor burst onto the scene. This guy's got unbelievable personality. Yeah. He's done everything he said he would do. And he's going up against the only 145-pound champion the UFC has ever had, the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world, and a guy who hasn't lost in 10 years. Who doesn't want to see that fight? You know? And as far as McGregor goes, the mental warfare that this guy has.
Skip. This guy, Conor McGregor.
I watch him in the press conference. That's all I watch.
The boy's got knockout power, no question about it. But he's the guy that goes up at a press conference and snatches the belt from the chair. This is mine. I mean, he's crazy, but you gotta love him. But I'll ask you this question because it's something that I believe, but I'm not sure. Watching UFC fights now, I think what has helped elevate your level of popularity is also that there's a lot of boxing in it. You're seeing, like, for example, yes, Holly Holm dropped Ronda Rousey with the kick and finished her off. But what she was doing before dropping her, she was connected. She couldn't miss Ronda Rousey's face with the jab, with straight lefts and rights. She was hitting her. She was boxing. And I think the fact that so much boxing appears to be incorporated into the UFC, I think that's elevated the popularity of the sport in this country. To that you say what?
Yeah, I think that, you know, when you look at Holly Holmes, you know, everybody, she was the most decorated female boxer ever, right? She was also a world champion kickboxer. So she had both of those things and then worked on her grappling and then became 9-0 in mixed martial arts. I mean, she's the most decorated female fighter ever.
So would you describe your sport as boxing plus? Like you've got boxing plus?
No, we're mixed martial arts. I mean, there's everything. There's boxing, there's Muay Thai, there's wrestling, there's jiu-jitsu, there's karate, there's so many different things. That's what makes it so exciting, you know? There's so many different ways to win and so many different ways to lose. You never know what's going to happen.
In America, people still prefer the knockout.
It's true.
That's what it is.
It's
We
true.
want to see a knockout. We don't want to see a submission.
But there's great submissions.
I know, and they're great ones. They're great ones, but we prefer the knockout.
When you get two really good submission fighters going at it, it's as good as the toe-to-toe exchange.
Great ground game jiu-jitsu. All right, give us a couple guys that we should keep an eye on that we might not know about that could be the next Anderson Silva GSP type that we should be excited about.
I'll give you a couple guys and girls.
Okay.
So coming up on Fight Pass, UFC Fight Pass is coming up. First time ever. We're going Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night with fights in Vegas. 3 back-to-back, and all 3 of them are sold out. So the first one on Fight Pass, the headliner again by women, Paige Van Zant versus Rose Namajunas. 2 huge stars. Up-and-coming stars that are going to battle this early in their career, and one of them is going to go on to, you know, so that's a great fight. And another kid on that card, name is Sage Northcutt. Sage Northcutt is a kid that I just found. We started a new show called Dana White Looking for a Fight. It's on YouTube. Go check it out. And that's where I found Sage Northcutt. And the kid exploded off the show and is an incredible talent. Check him out.
All right, might just have to be in Vegas that weekend. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks for
We
having
really
me.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you, buddy.
And as we mentioned earlier, Dana White is here on behalf of EA Sports, where for the first time ever, the winner of the Real World event will determine the EA Sports cover athlete. Jose Aldo and Conor McGregor will literally fight for the cover at UFC 194 on December 12th, where the victor will join Ronda Rousey on the cover of EA Sports UFC 2. And all of our viewers at home, they can head to Twitter right now because Dana and EA Sports are giving away a custom UFC 2 PS4 to one lucky First Take fan. Just give us your best reaction to our special UFC 2 cover, or tell us your prediction for the Aldo McGregor fight using the hashtag Dana White on